All right, so one of the first things you're going to need to learn in French is l'alphabet, or the alphabet, which is, as you can see, the same word in French as it is in English, just pronounced slightly differently. I will expect you at some point, not immediately, but as we go on, I will expect you to be able to spell words for me using the French alphabet. The knowledge of the French alphabet is very important for both your own pronunciation and your own understanding of other people that are going to be speaking to you. So we are going to go through the entire alphabet and how to pronounce it, and I am going to leave a little space after each letter when I'm saying them for you to repeat after me. Um, I've tried to put a phonetic spelling of the letter underneath each one, just so that if you look back at this sheet and can't quite remember and don't have time to come look at a video or something, so that you can try to remember what they sound like. If there's a better way for you to figure out how to spell these or how to write them down so that you'll know how to pronounce them, feel free to cross out what I wrote and write in your own. That is totally fine. So the first lesson when we want to talk about alphabet and the letters before we even start is that French letters are very short. So even though they sometimes look, well, even though they do look the same, and then sometimes even sound the same, you're gonna want to make them as short sounding as you can. And so what I mean by that is that, for instance, the letter B is pronounced B, but it looks like our English word bay, right? Like Hudson Bay. And so you may have even noticed just there that there's a big difference between when I say it in French, bay, from what I say it in English, bay. Do you see how bay in English almost sounds like it's two syllables? Bay. It's kind of long. In French, you're not going to have that. You're going to try and want to pronounce things in one syllable and make them as short as you can. So the entire time that we're going through this, even some of the letters that sound exactly the same, there's a difference between pronouncing them with a French accent and trying to pronounce them the way that the French would versus saying them the way that we would say the English word. So, like I said with the example for B, the same is true for the letter C. It's pronounced the same way that we say the English word say, like I say a lot of things throughout the day. But instead of it being so long, say, it's going to be very short. Say. So we've got B, say. They're very short. They're much shorter than in English when I say bay, say. That's kind of long. So I'm going to have you guys repeat after me. I am also going to upload a video of myself so that you can see my mouth as I pronounce these. I know that sounds kind of strange, but there's a couple letters in here that we do not have in or no, the letters are the same, but there's a couple sounds in here that we do not have in English, and they're made slightly differently from how we would make an English sound, and sometimes it really helps to see what the mouth should look like while you're pronouncing them. So you'll notice that there are two videos for the alphabet, this one, which is just listening, and the second one, which will be one you kind of need to watch to totally understand what your mouth needs to be doing while you're pronouncing them. So we're going to go through, pronounce these together, and then I want you to watch the second video where you can actually see what my mouth looks like when I'm making some of these letters. All right, so we'll go through, pronounce them, and then I'll make a couple of comments for ways you can help to remember some of these. So, répétez. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Scrolling down here. Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Very nice. You just did your first French alphabet. Give yourself a hand. I just gave you one over here. We are going to do some of these again, just so you can kind of hear the differences. Like I said, shorter sounds, as short as you can make them, but some confusing ones that may come up are going to be G and J. I'm sure you already noticed that they are actually the opposite sounds in French. So you're going to soften that front. Oh, there's a train nearby where I live. If you hear that, I'm so sorry. You're going to soften that front sound. So instead of saying G, you would say J, right? That's kind of why I put a ZH. It's sort of similar. But that's going to be your tough part, is that the G sound is going to be J, and then the J sound is going to be J. But the best way to remember that is just that it's the opposite. So I even think that in my head when I'm spelling words out loud. If I hit a G, I have to think to myself, it's not G, it's the opposite of English, J. And there we go. So your vowels, the vowels in French are the same, so A, E, I, O, U. There's going to be very specific mouth movements for those, which I definitely want you to watch that next video. But the hardest one to remember sometimes is that the letter E, oh shoot, I even just messed it up. The letter I in French is E, which is our letter E. So that's kind of unfortunate, but you get used to it, and then once you learn that, it really helps you pronounce words that have I's in them, because in French, you will automatically look at some of those words and know that they're going to be making the E sound because that's the letter in the alphabet. So at this point, on this paper, you've also got some accents. You'll see that down here. We're going to do a whole separate video for the accents. These are a great review right here of what the names of the accents are, along with what they do to words when they're in them. But I'm going to have that be a separate video, so you can just kind of ignore that for now. Yeah, so the only other thing that I think is interesting about the alphabet that I've obviously would love to point out to you too is that, so in English, right, we've got the U sound, then we've got U, V, and then we call it a double U. They call it a W, right, because instead of being a double U, like it is for us, theirs is a double V. So that's pretty easy to remember, even though it's just slightly different from ours. Yeah, but hopefully that is a good review for the alphabet for you. I definitely want you to go back, do this a couple of times, get comfortable and familiar with how to pronounce these letters. But also, before you even start going backwards to do that, I want you to take a look at video number 2 for the alphabet that will show you what it looks like to pronounce these letters.